What happens to planes when they retire? Some people may not know and would probably often wonder, what happens to planes once they are finished flying? Be it commercially, cargo, military or even private aircraft, where do they all go? Who is responsible for them once they are retired, and are they recycled or do they get destroyed? Well, in this video we are going to answer all of these questions. Welcome to Hangar 18. On average, an aircraft is operable for about 30 years before it has to be retired. For example, a Boeing 747 can endure about 35,000 pressurization cycles and flights, roughly 135,000 to 165,000 flight hours before metal fatigue sets in. 747s are retired after approximately 27 years of service. Obviously, there are some exceptions with some military aircraft, but let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Aviation metal fatigue describes the effect of cyclical pressures and stress on metal parts. It's particularly dangerous for aircraft since much of the aviation today involves at least 1 to 2 human lives on board in addition to any cargo. Fatigue is a common occurrence among all metal airframes. Due to the repeated flight cycles and frequent use, the metal elements of planes become weakened over time and they will eventually require attention and repair. This weakness manifests in cracks, which are microscopic at first. Constant pressurization cycles of the aircraft, takeoffs and landings, weather and turbulence, and poorly maintained aircraft are all factors that encourage metal fatigue. So, what happens to a plane once it's finished its flying career? Usually, the aircraft are retired from service and put into a storage program. These programs maintain the aircraft in an operational status. The aircraft systems are operated on a regular basis up to and including running the engines. This process is regulated and approved by the FAA. Some of these aircraft can be sold and flown again by a new operator depending on age and condition. The holding place for airplanes when they retire is often referred to as an aircraft boneyard or an airplane boneyard. After a certain period of time, an airplane is no longer fit to fly and retires to a boneyard. Contrary to the implications of boneyard and graveyard meaning a final resting place, an airplane boneyard is more similar to a storage facility. Hundreds to thousands of planes can be held in an aircraft boneyard at any one time. Typically, aircraft boneyards are in the American Southwest because the climate is conducive for storage. The dry weather helps to limit the amount of corrosion or rust on metal parts that a plane undergoes. Aircraft can be stored for many years. Some are only stored for a few months until they find a new operator or owner. Airplane boneyards have a variety of planes from a variety of sources. Such places you will find retired aircraft would be Cotswold Airport, formerly Kemble Airfield. It is a private general aviation airport near the village of Kemble in Gloucestershire, England. It was built as a Royal Air Force station and was known as RAF Kemble. The Red Arrows aerobatics team was based there until 1983, and it is used for storage and recycling of retired airliners, as well as flying schools, clubs and industry. The most noticeable and impressive boneyard is the 309th Aerospace Maintenance and Regeneration Group. They are a United States Air Force aircraft and missile storage and maintenance facility in Tucson, Arizona. The 309th MAARG takes care of nearly 4,000 aircraft, which makes it the largest aircraft storage and preservation facility in the world. The arid climate of the region makes the 309th MAARG an ideal location for storing aircraft, as there is very little humidity in the air that would corrode metal. There are many other governments and privately owned aircraft storage and decommission facilities all over the world. In a lot of instances, when commercial aircraft are retired, especially ones that still hold a lot of value, private companies will bid to win contracts from the airline to disassemble and recycle valuable metals and aircraft parts from the retired plane. In fact, Aircrafts are increasingly being retired earlier in life to harvest parts which can generate more revenue than being sold intact. Parts such as cabin structures like galley carts, trays and overhead bins, external parts like wings, flaps, rudders and ailerons, engines themselves are still extremely valuable and can easily be reused, or alternatively they can be stripped and used for parts on other aircraft engines. Avionics and sensors can be salvaged among many other things. Airplanes have a lot of reusable parts, but at the same time they produce a lot of scrap and waste, but increasingly airplanes are being designed with reuse and recycling in mind. Finally, the airplane recycling process begins with a non-destructive dismantling activity when just the shell remains. At that point, a massive excavator demolishes the vast shell of the airplane. Once different parts of the shell are broken down into small pieces, they are transported for the next phase of the recycling. There are various types of metals to recycle as well as plastics, so a sorting process is required. A powerful magnet is used to separate iron and steel from aluminium and plastics. A final manual check ensures error-free sorting of all the materials. Once everything is separated, each of these materials is diverted to separate recycling streams. Eventually, these recycled metals may be introduced as raw materials to produce a range of items. Thank you all for watching, and I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more aviation and aerospace related content, please don't forget to hit that notification bell.